One starts out thinking about one thing, and ends up thinking about something entirely different. One's thinking enters never land, and starts to fantasize wildly. I ascended to the heavens where a god told me that in 3 days I'd get reborn in the heavens. Now, did that really happen? One thinks about things one has no business thinking about. I went to a certain place in meditation and ended up suspended in empty space. Did that really happen? Or will it happen? The mind becomes tangled in chaos as one contrives all kinds of non-existent experiences. See how pathetic this restlessness is. 18 is distraction. With this affliction one loses proper mindfulness, and is only mindful of the deviant. It is another way to enter fantasy land. But in this case one ends up thinking about things that are not wholesome. Whatever goes against the rules, this person thinks about. But what accords with the rules, he does not think about. His thinking does not accord with the rules when he indulges in this affliction. 19 is improper knowledge. With this affliction, one becomes obsessed with defilement. It is all one knows. There is nothing proper at all in one's knowledge. And 20 is scatteredness. Scatteredness entails totally wild confusion. The mind becomes mixed up and divided against itself. This affliction is different from restlessness.
If we were to go into the subtle details of each one, a lot could be said. This will suffice to introduce these 20 derivative afflictions to you. Now that you know about them, I hope that you will give rise to more afflictions, to the point that you will eat your fill of afflictions, and not have to eat food. Then, if there were a famine, you would not die of hunger, because you would have lots of afflictions to eat. Shastra 6. The 4 unfixed are 1. Sleep, 2. Regret, 3. Investigation, and 4. Examination.
Commentary: The 51 dharmas belonging to the mind are grouped into 6 divisions, of which we have already discussed 5. Now we come to division 6, the 4 unfixed. They are known as unfixed because they are basically indeterminate. Since there is nothing fixed about them, they are called unfixed. If there were anything definite about them, they would not be said to be unfixed. They are indeterminate in that they are not necessarily wholesome dharmas, and not necessarily defiled dharmas. A decidedly wholesome dharma would be, for example, bringing forth the Bodhi resolve. A decidedly defiled dharma would be bringing forth thoughts of lust. Another way these dharmas are unfixed is that they do not necessarily pervade all minds and do not necessarily pervade all grounds. How many unfixed dharmas are there? There are 4 kinds. The first one is sleep in the text we are using, although most texts have what is here too, regret, listed first. Sleep is a kind of dark obscurity, a blackness and lack of clarity. But the lack of clarity does not mean inability to understand. Rather, it refers to a darkness that pervades all you do. Sleep can result in 2 problems. Externally, it deprives you of affinities with other people, and internally, it blocks contemplation.
Hence sleep can lead to social isolation and can cause you to lack wisdom. This dark lack of clarity is an unfixed dharma. The second one, regret, is sometimes called self-reproach. What does one regret? When these dharmas are being explained, you should pay close attention. Be very attentive and do not let the explanation of them pass by your ears like a breeze, so that although I explain so many dharmas for you, afterwards you still do not understand. When it is time to lose your temper, you still lose your temper. When it comes time to get angry, you go ahead and get angry just the same, and are not the least bit able to apply what you have learned. As soon as you hear it, it evaporates. If that is the case, then there has been no use at all in listening to this explanation. If you listen to the sutras with that attitude, then even 100 great eons of doing so would not be of any great use. It should be that, having heard a lecture, you think, the Shastra is telling me I shouldn't have afflictions, so from now on I'm not going to have even one of the 20 derivative afflictions, and will basically not let the 6 fundamental afflictions arise. That is the way someone who has brought forth the resolve for Bodhi applies them. It should not be that as the afflictions are being explained, and the more names for them you learn, the more of them you give rise to.
That is what I was talking about when I advised you before that you could now eat more afflictions. Previously you did not know, but now when you get angry you can wonder whether you should be using wrath or hatred. Before, you did not understand there were so many afflictions to choose from, and now that you know, it has greatly expanded your repertoire. You think, let's see, now is a good time to use rage, or maybe covering is in order. That way I can destroy you behind your back. If that is what you are learning, then you are making a big mistake. You have listened to the Shastra in vain. Regret is also sometimes listed as self-reproach, because it arises with regard to deeds not done right. Why did I do that, anyway? Having done something wrong, one regrets it. Or one regrets not having done some bad things to someone, thinking things like, why didn't I do such and such a thing to that particular person? That would have put him in his place for sure. It would have totally done him in. Why didn't I think of it then? Or, why didn't I hack off his arm with my knife when I had the chance? That way he couldn't have hit me. It is that kind of regret that is meant here. Regret arises when one is not satisfied with one's actions or inactions, or when one feels one has done something the wrong way. That is the first, regret or self-reproach.
3 is investigation, and 4 is examination. Investigation is a coarser dharma than examination. When you are just about to act in a way that could be good or bad, you do a kind of reckoning with yourself. You hold a meeting with yourself in your mind, and take stock of what you are about to do. You think to yourself, if I handle this matter in such and such a way, will it turn out well? Then you answer yourself, no. Don't do that. How could you? In this way you have a meeting with yourself. If this meeting in your mind is on a coarse level, then it is called investigation. This is when you obviously are going back and forth with yourself. But if your thinking is very subtle, then it is called examination. These two unfixed dharmas belonging to the mind have discursive thought as their basis and result in a kind of discrimination. Investigation and examination are like that. We have now completed discussion of the sixth division, namely, the 4 unfixed dharmas belonging to the mind.